Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 231 of the Massenomics podcast. We are the lifting podcast about nothing, and piping hot, sparkling waters.
The best.
Yes. This is episode 231. We've got a cool sack segment to come up today. We've got a really good guest to come up today. A man that we were on his podcast not too long ago, and we get to reciprocate the favor and have him on ours. So be exciting.
And a lot of fun, unplanned, just great conversation, right, Tanner?
Right. We don't even know what it's all going to be. We just only named a couple things that we do know of what's actually going to happen. But first, a note from our sponsors.
Tanner, you keep doing your thing.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. I'll man this ship. No problem. Today's episode is brought to you by Texas Power Bars. In 1980, Buddy Cap set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he had ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling, and it was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, Massenomics, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit TexasPowerBars.com. Today's show is also brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large has set a new standard for customer service within the strength world. They have live website chat support and speedy email responses. Lifting Large is home of the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper, and they're always in stock and ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products by using discount code MASS20 at checkout. Today's episode is also brought to you by Spud Inc. The goal of Spud Inc. straps is to make products that support sports performance and help everyone achieve their training goals. They make products that last forever, won't bust your budget, and most importantly, leave no doubt about success when everything is on the line. Check them out online at spud-inc-straps.com. And last but not least, this episode is brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. They are your one-stop shop for all things fitness and online coaching. Whether your goals are training-related, nutrition and body composition-related, or both, Hybrid has a program for you. With dedicated and experienced coaches in each strength and fitness discipline, you can rest assured that you're in the best hands possible. We've got a discount code with them. It's MASS, MASS, in all caps, and that will save you 5% off any training or nutrition memberships for the life of the membership at hybridperformancemethod.com. Tommy, you're back. It's like you never really left.
Just some things are just meant to be, Tanner.
Yeah, that's right. Did you see I shared on Instagram today that I built something?
I was going to ask you about that. Yes, that's what. Okay. We always talk about what we're going to say before, and there's always usually one thing in my brain that I can't remember. Yeah. I did want to ask you about that because, one, I think a lot of people enjoy a quick assembly video.
That's why people historically, based on what we have shared before, people do love
we have a page on our website of building a deadlift platform, and it is still one of our top performing pages. And that article is 4 years old, maybe.
Yep.
I mean, we did thousands of people
built some strongman deadlift tires. Did a article about that. People loved that. That got shared around many times. I still continue to see people sharing and commenting and saying they used our plan to make their deadlift tires.
I saw the video of you building it. And I was pretty impressed because I know we've talked about this for quite a while. I think you talked about maybe having Nick possibly engineer something up.
And he did. He made plans for one, a steel one, fabricated one. And it's just, I just haven't gotten around to getting the materials needed for him to make that. And he made a great plan for it and still might do that someday as an upgrade. But I was just...
And we should probably tell people what you built actually.
Yeah, I guess that's important here. It's a vertical storage rack for, I would say, barbells is what you could use it for, but I more specifically made it for strongman logs and farmer's carry handle implements. Because, why I say specifically for those, because the traditional vertical storage rack for barbells, the spacing's so close.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a few of them. What's it, a few inches between?
Yeah, right.
Which is nice because the footprint on it is so small. You can have something that's a foot by a foot and fit 8 or 9 barbells
Yeah,
in it?
we've got one that's a 9 barbell holder. We've got a Rogue one of those. You also got a Titan one that's like a 5 barbell holder, and they both work just fine, but they don't work for the logs and stuff. And
because of the
I've
diameter.
I've
of the
looked
logs.
around a lot of times for some different options that people actually make that you can get, and really there's not. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't really seen anything ready made for that purpose.
Oh,
that
really?
You just click on and buy
and
it.
I didn't know if it was that or if it was, because I can also see how it would be insanely expensive.
Well, the couple things I did get a couple leads, and I talked to a couple of companies, and it was like going to be like $700 to make something that what I was after, and I'm like, well, that's not worth it. I mean, if I'm just looking at $700 for the gym, I'll spend that on something else.
No
because
kidding.
I don't need this thing. The utility of this is just like getting the strongman equipment off the floor.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's like the
organizing
prettiest thing in it is like a Titan log too. It'd be different. It'd still be hard,
Right.
a hard sell, but like if it was holding like bars from Texas Power Bars or the Kabuki bar or the like if it was holding all these really nice bars.
But it is kind of the strongman stuff that just gets beat to
It does.
shit
It gets
and,
that's especially the farmers handles. Like those things will just look like pieces of steel with more steel attached to them.
Right. And so it's working really well. The tricky part is, and
how many does it hold?
I set it up for 10.
Okay, so you can fit 10 vertical.
You could fit
pieces in
10, 12-inch logs if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. The thing about placing a log into a vertical storage rack is the logs weigh 100-ish pounds. A barbell, when you place it in the rack, it weighs 45 pounds, and you go,
and you still kind of take it out like, why does this feel heavier?
Yeah,
in this position?
right. Yeah, so the logs, you actually almost have. It's really awkward to grab the handles of a log and lift it up.
Being 100 pounds.
Yeah. Not only awkward, but also just like incredibly. It is heavy. Like you really can't do that. You have to bear hug it almost to do it.
That makes sense.
And like when we had our smaller portion of the gym, we always did like leave the logs leaning in a corner, and I did always have to do that, like bear hug it to get in there. So I have to do that same thing, but it's still worth it just getting all that stuff like up out of the ground, and it's easier for cleaning and a lot of different things.
I know you talked about it. I think it was about last summer at this time. You were like, I'm trying to get as much stuff off the ground as possible. And
the dust bunnies collect around anything that's on the ground.
They do. And once things are off the ground, you realize how much better it looks.
Yes.
When whether that's like cable attachments on a pegboard.
Yes.
Or random dumbbells and the fat bells and those things and kettlebells like on some type of little shelf for them. Or
so I have been working on a lot of those things over the last year or so, and it does make a big difference.
It does. And like it makes things look bigger too, because now that area, I was down there today and I saw that in the corner and I'm like, damn, that looks pretty good. And like that whole area, it's like, oh, this looks bigger again now. Because that stuff, a few logs laying on the ground, so those implements, they take up a good chunk of room.
2 logs laying on the ground, the amount of space that took, now this thing will hold 10 in that same amount of space. Mm-hmm. So it's worth it to be a little awkward to set the logs in there and take them out. I do have to go in and bolster something, part of it, like just because if it was just barbells, putting in there 45-pound barbells, it would hold up really well and easily exactly the way I made it. But with the logs, them being so heavy and so top heavy, I run into a little bit of issue. It's working all right for now, but if I don't fix it, it's going to eventually break. So I just have to go in and add some pieces. It'll take me like an hour to update it, and then it'll be rock solid.
And so what you basically did, I can't build anything out of wood. I have zero skill in that part, but it looks like basically what you did is you built a box. Yeah. What are the rough dimensions of the box?
It's the box is made from 2x8 lumber. Mm-hmm. So, a 2x8, I don't think is actually 8 inches. Yeah. It's construction lumber. It's like 7.5 inches probably, tall by 1.5 inches thick, but made a box, and I made it like 5 feet long and about 2.5 feet wide.
And then how deep is it? Or tall is it?
That's where the 2x8 comes in. So it's 8 inches tall. And that's why I used a 2x8 instead of like a 2x4. If it was only a 2x4, it wouldn't be very tall. So then the sleeve for the end of the log wouldn't be long enough. So that's why I use a 2x8. You could also use, I suppose, a 2x10. I think that would be too long. I think 2x8 is really the right board.
These do not bottom out in it right now, then, do they?
No. So I made the frame from 2x8s, and then I used 1/2 inch OSB or 1/2 inch plywood or 1/2 inch particle board to lay a sheet on top and a sheet on bottom. So it is basically a closed-in box at that point. And then I just drilled the 10 holes, spaced them where I wanted them, and drilled the 10 holes in the top of the box, and then used a 2-inch PVC pipe, which fits snugly into that hole. That it's a 2 3/8 inch hole saw and 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe, because 2-inch PVC pipe is the inside diameter.
Okay.
The outside diameter is 2 3/8, so it fits tightly into that hole, and then that pipe goes all the way to the bottom of the box and rests against the bottom of the box and fits tightly around the hole. And it's a little bit taller than the box, so it sticks up.
Oh, I didn't look at it that close.
Yeah, so it sticks up a little bit, and that's kind of what keeps it in place. And with a regular barbell, that all would just work just fine. I did use some adhesive to keep it tighter, but with the 100-pound logs, it's just a little bit sloppy where that PVC pipe is in the bottom. So what I have to do is open the box back up and put basically supports around where that PVC pipe will be in the bottom. So the pipe can't move around. It'll be stuck in one position. So even if you like have a hard time getting it in and like wiggling it around, it'll just stay really rock solid.
Yeah.
It costs about $100 to build. And I didn't really have a plan for it. I was just winging it I was just thinking about it as I went, and I wish I had a thought of the supports. The only thing I screwed up on, I feel like in the long run, is I didn't put these supports in for that PVC pipe to begin with, because now it's going to take me like an extra hour to take it apart and put them back in there and do all that crap.
So, okay, then my final question with it. If you put 2 logs on one end, would it flip the box?
No, I
Really?
don't think so. No,
Really?
It is because it's 6 feet long. You know, it's 5 feet long. It's 60 inches long, and it's wide enough that it would not.
That's when you said there's one thing I would have done different. I didn't know if you were going to say like, oh, I needed to put like some weight in the box so that it wouldn't flip.
No, my original design wasn't going to be near that wide, but that's why I actually made it like almost 3 feet wide, just so it will.
So you don't have to worry
stand.
about like perfect loading or anything.
Right.
That's
exactly.
pretty nice then. That's a solid piece.
Yeah, no, it was pretty stable in that way. That wasn't a problem. I did think about even putting it on casters, on 4 casters, but I'm like pushing that around and how top heavy it is. I'm like, that would not end well. That would be a disaster.
Someone would get it going and it would just.
So then I realized, no, that's a bad idea. The other thing I did is I did inside the 2-inch PVC pipe, which 2 inches the size you want, because that's what a barbell sleeve is like just barely under 2 inches. So that's what they fit into nicely. But at the base of them, I did put like 2-inch furniture coasters so that
they weren't just
if it was a nice
wood.
Bar, which none of these, it doesn't matter for these.
But for the one day someone grabs a barbell and throws it in there without thinking.
Right. And I just wanted to see if that's
a good idea. Yeah.
And I was like, that's
a little protection.
That's why I was like, this is just a good idea. I want to try it just to see if it works.
I like it.
And that's where we're at with that.
Cool.
And I painted it. And then once I make these final updates, I'm going to throw, a Massenomics.
I saw someone seemed there was a few people I think they were upset that the decals were not in place.
Right. But that was the DIY project, and I put fairly simple directions on Instagram if you're interested, and you can. Yeah. And if you were someone that didn't just even want to spend the money on a barbell one, you could do the same thing, and you could make it much smaller
too,
and put the holes just much closer together, and it would probably cost $50.
That's pretty cool.
One of those from Titan, a metal one for a barbell, costs like $75.
Oh, is that all there is?
Yeah, so I guess you would have to just really want to make it yourself with when it's $75 and free shipping. I mean, it would work just as well and really not look much of any different.
It'd be a project.
But it would save you like $20, but take you 2 hours.
That's one of those things Rogue charges like twice as much for.
Yeah, there's no reason to buy the Rogue one.
Yeah.
I mean, unless someone can prove me wrong.
There's no performance benefit.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And I mean, unless you just want to support an American-made company, that sort of thing. So there are reasons, but like if you're just comparing the products,
there's a lot of other products I think you should buy from Rogue before that.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And just as a teaser, we won't get into it in this episode, but that's maybe overall in the scheme of things, that's kind of a boring piece of thing to have in the gym. But we will eventually this year have a really cool new piece of equipment coming to Massenomics Gym that we will spend a little time discussing on the podcast.
Is it that sauna we've always talked about?
And the tanning bed.
Yes.
Yes.
A standing one and a laying down one, right?
Exactly.
Oh, God. The best keeps getting better.
Yep. So more to come on that later.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited. It's time to crack into a cold one.
All right. Great. Is this a secret one?
I'm going to say, I'm just going to give you a hint. I don't know for sure, but I think we've had this one 10 times on the podcast. And I almost say that because I think you're already doing like, oh, God, I can't mess this up.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, I know what it is.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know it. Like you said, we have had it about 10 times, so, fool me 10 times, shame on me. I am going to go with peach pear LaCroix.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, Tanner.
I do.
Something about the peach pear.
I think in time I've gotten better at this game, and it's probably just because we've done so many, there ends up being more recurring ones. It's like, I got to get it right eventually. And
I tried really hard to get some different flavors. I don't know if it's like a COVID thing going on or if we've just had enough of them, but the store I typically buy them from, they only carry like 8 flavors anyways, and we've had all of those. So then I went to Target thinking, okay, I'm going to Target. Like, they're going to have a lot of flavors. And they had a lot of flavors, but the flavors they had were ones we've already had, and they're ones that I don't like as much. So
yep.
I'm running out of ideas. And then normally like Target has like Waterloo and some other brands, and those other brands were completely gone too. So it was slim pickings.
Some people have given me some good recommendations on one that I need to bring to stump you, because they're like, you need to stump Tommy and
Turn the
they said,
turntables.
They said, we've got a couple here that like he will not be able to guess because they do not even remotely taste like what they say on the can. So just stay tuned for that. If I ever figure out how to, that would require me going to a store, which I haven't done in like 2 years. So maybe I can order them. Yeah, maybe I can order them like on
arrange some
Amazon
curbside pickup or Amazon so they can help you out.
Right. What about our sack segment? Here's the dilemma we had today. We've got 2 sack segments to go through, but I don't think
we don't want to do 2 sacks.
We don't want to unload the
because
sack twice in one day.
Yeah, it's just you got to save something for the next time. Right?
Let it build back up, and then it's like a better
makes
release.
It more enjoyable for everyone.
So we're just going to do one today, but just as something for you to look forward to. We got a great one coming next time too.
We do.
And I did just do the Ferris thing, and we're doing these in order of which we received the items.
That shipping speed really kicks in.
So making a return to the sack segment is our friends from Genie. Ooh. They sent us a nice family card this time.
Oh, damn. We need to get a family card.
So that's Travis in there. He's been the one that's helped us out. Of course, Juji and Tom. The gal in there, I can't remember her name. She also reached out to us and said how much, I think she's like the COO, or I don't remember her title, honestly. I don't remember her title or name, so not doing her any justice whatsoever. But I do know that they listened to the last time that we had Genie featured in our sack segment, so I did a really poor job of shouting that out to you if you're listening again.
So keep sending us stuff, guys.
But so what they did, if you remember last time, they sent us their number 6.
They sent us some really cool stuff, yeah.
And they sent, of their...
The number 6, which is the number 6 of like the grip crusher.
Yeah.
And it is the gold one, which looks really, really cool.
It does look really cool. Everyone at the gym has tried it, and nobody can close it like more than halfway.
I grabbed it here, barely squeezed it, and cracked like 4 of my fingers somehow. It was...
Right, and so what they told us this time is, we're going to send you some stuff you guys can do. But what they told us is they want us to do it on the podcast here. So
if it's anything grip related, they're going to be disappointed because I am so bad.
They assured us there would be something we can do. So what we've got here is 1 through 5.
Oh,
we've got the 6. What we've got today is 1 through 5, and these are unopened. So I guess we'll just so you can verify that we have not yet attempted these.
So is this one first?
This is number 1.
Is 1 the lightest one they offer?
Yes. Oh,
not like some of those other brands where 1 is actually not the first one, right?
Right. I wasn't prepared for how hard this would be to open. Need a knife.
Do we need something?
Okay. I figured it out.
I can grab something.
So do you want to try 1 first?
Yep. Let me try first.
So we'll go down the line and just go. Well, I suppose we'll just go until we can't go anymore.
Yeah, one is easy.
And I'll verify. It is closed. Tommy closed 1 very easily.
For me, the part I always struggle with these is I squeeze and I always get them out of alignment. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes. It gets a little wonky.
Yeah, it twists in my hand.
So 1 was the silver. We both closed that relatively easily, I think, right?
Yep.
That wasn't a huge challenge to you, but you could do that for some reps, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I do think if you're really training grip, the idea isn't just, much like all of our lifting, the idea is not just to max out.
What? You don't just max out?
Actually, I suppose if someone's listening to this and they really are a grip trainer, this would be like if you just watch someone, they're like, we're just going to try and max out on bench. We don't know how to bench. We're just going to go until we fail.
But also when you don't ever bench, you can max out. Yeah. That's not going to really hurt anything.
And this is number 2.
Number 2.
Green.
And it is a lime green, and I like it.
Yes.
Tanner?
Oh, it's close.
It is close.
Did that feel harder?
It was harder, but
and we're closed.
Very easy.
So we both got 2.
Would you say you're better with your right hand than your left hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. I do know that as a fact. And that goes for more things than just grip training, if you know what I mean.
Podcasting.
Yeah. That's why my mic's over here. So then we're number 3, metallic blue.
Okay, I got to shake it. My
Yeah.
hand's getting so fatigued already.
And I believe what Travis told me is like, I think you'll get 1 and 2 pretty easily. I think 3 is where you'll start to get
usually
tested.
with all things lifting related, things get really hard really fast, you know?
True. Good point.
Oh, I might get this one.
Oh, it's closed. Yep.
There it is. Okay.
So that was more challenging.
I got 3.
definitely.
Yeah. 3 is definitely pushing my limits already.
And then, so this is 3. Yeah.
The gold one they sent us was 6. Is that what?
That was 6.
Okay.
And we're just on 3.
Yeah, you got that
So
easy.
I closed it.
Yep.
But it definitely starting to feel a lot harder.
Yeah,
I
like
can
you
tell
gotta-
the difference
you gotta
in these
try a
levels.
little.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, though, for people that don't do grip things, is a lot of them getting to the 80 or 90% mark is not the hard part. It's like even on that
closing
one, even on that
yes.
one, getting to the 98% mark wasn't hard. I had to pick it up and see that they weren't quite touching.
Right.
It is the actual touching that's the hard part.
I agree.
Because
with
isn't
that
the
for
rule
sure.
like you have to hold a card between them?
Yeah,
to prove it?
a credit card close, I guess is what you would say. Next is 4, which is the all black, and I just have a feeling this one's going to be hard. I'm not guaranteeing either of us will close this one.
It just looks intimidating.
3, even for me, was not that hard, but I can tell it's to that point where when it's going to get.
Isn't there also a thing where like a certain direction they're supposed to be better?
Yes, there is, where you hold a certain half of it in your palm.
Yeah,
and,
do you know what that is?
Not really.
I know we talked about it the one
Yeah.
time, and now I can't remember.
Like the very straight I don't know. The straight side should go in your palm, I think, if that even applies or makes any sense. I'm not sure if that's right.
I can't remember. Okay. All right, Tanner. Part of it is loading the grip here. You know.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man, that one's tough. So I got.
So you weren't like you said though. You weren't very far away from closing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I maybe got it halfway, but yeah, it's getting to halfway is where like the hard part kicks in.
And he said we were gonna maybe start to struggle at 3. I think we both got 3 pretty well.
Yeah, 3. I think I could do 3 multiple times if I needed
my
to.
guess on 4 before I even try it, just to make my prediction of myself.
And do you like to use chalk when you use these things? Or
I would, yeah. I guess I actually
would
do.
too,
Yeah, and we're not doing that now, obviously. I'm guessing I could maybe get this on a good day with the right conditions, and I'm guessing I won't be able to quite get it today. I just had to throw that out there.
Well, you got to set yourself up for the right excuse. Oh, you were really close there, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. See, I could feel the need for chalk. Let me try one more time. If I can't give it, I'll give up.
Oh, I think you got it.
No, I can't quite. One more. No, I can't quite.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when you say you didn't quite have it,
Yeah, it was.
We were talking like
They were not touching each other.
Like
Yeah,
less than an eighth
yeah.
of an inch though. It
Yeah.
was very,
but
very, very
that
close.
is like but I do feel like I was having a problem. It's slipping out of my fingers. So that's where chalk would help a little bit. So that's what I think. I think I could close that one. Here's the 5. I'm not. My hands are already a little sore from the other ones.
For me, I feel it across these knuckles right here, like right behind my fingernail. It feels like those knuckles are.
I have
breaking.
a problem where my fingers are a little sweaty and it starts to like slide around this without the chalk. So they do sell chalk also. But here's the 5. It's metallic red. I'm going to just make the assumption we can't do that. Quite close to 4. 5 probably isn't going to get close today either. That's what we had from Grip Genie.
Very cool.
That was a very, maybe our most ever interactive sack segment that we've ever
very
had.
Engaging, a very handsy sack segment.
If I had to criticize the team at Grip Genie for anything, this is constructive criticism. So I assume the entire team is huddled around the Grip Genie office right now.
There's like this old antique radio, and they're all in like they're in a little grip workshop, like huddled around it.
And they're all like sitting,
they're taking a break from
crisscross
building
applesauce.
Yeah, they're taking a break from building little grip hand things.
I would say last time we gave them homework of we need to get communication started to get Mr. Mufu as a guest on the Massenomics podcast.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what progress we've made on that. So that would be my
maybe that's their third sack segment. Is
the third ones they're sending. Could you not picture this? They mail a box Jujimu. It's at your doorstep. It's a really big box, and Jujimufu springs out of it,
flipping
with
out
a
of
horse head mask
with a
on,
horse head and surrounded by flamingos.
Backflips into your driveway and is like, "I'm here."
That's how I would imagine it. Yeah,
Could totally picture that.
I want that sack segment.
But thank you to the Grip Genie team.
Thanks
We
a lot,
always
guys.
love a good
That was
sack
fun.
segment.
And these grip tools are so colorful that my hands won't be able to stay off them in the gym.
Like we said last time, I don't know if we even need to mention the name of other companies that make grip stuff, but we've got some of that stuff. It might just have to all get thrown in the trash. I don't know if there's room enough at this point. Now that we have 1 through 6, that other stuff might just have to get melted down for scrap metal.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, if we maybe want to make one of those log holders out of metal, we can make it out of our old grippers that aren't any good
Smelted
anymore.
down grippers. Be pretty
I
expensive.
think that's how
one.
that all works.
Yeah. You can melt anything metal and turn it into something else.
Yeah.
There's no rules no limits to what's possible there.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe this is actually grippers is what they make those Mandalorian, all the Mandalorian armor out of.
It must
old
be
grippers. Yeah.
All right.
So that's our sack segment.
Very cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.
The team at Grip Genie, always keeping it real. Should
Real.
we hop into some ads and then
Yeah.
get on to our next event?
Mr. Rippetoe, exciting guest here today.
But before we get there,
Yeah.
I have to tell everyone that today's show is brought to you by Texas Power Bars.
You had me on edge for a second if you're going to tell me something else.
I mean, what could be better than that?
No,
though,
that's
Tanner?
it.
Really?
That's really the best thing. Yeah.
Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell, building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, Massenomics, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com. This episode is brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. If you've been training without a coach and have been looking for a competitive edge, remember to check out hybridperformancemethod.com. Hybrid has 15 different strength and fitness programs covering everything from powerlifting and strongman to gymnastics and general fitness, all included in one training membership. That's not all. Hybrid also offers one-on-one personalized nutrition coaching that uses lifestyle habits and a flexible approach to shape your nutrition plan around your current lifestyle instead of turning your lifestyle upside down in order to support unsustainable habits that only work in the short run the way most programs do. If you're ready to take your training, nutrition, or both to the next level, use code MASS in all caps, that's MASS, all capitalized, for 5% off membership to all programs for the life of your membership. Today's show is also brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large sets the new standard for customer service within the strength world. Get email responses in hours, not days. They now have live website chat support available during the weekdays so you can get advice from a real powerlifter with actual platform experience. The Lifting Large team wants to help you achieve new PRs in the gym and on the competition stage. When you're ready to try single ply and make your way to the dark side, give them a call. Lifting Large is home of the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper, and it's always in stock and always ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products by using discount code MASS20 at checkout. That's MASS20 to save 20% on all Lifting Large branded items. Place your orders at liftinglarge.com, and you can follow them on Instagram at liftinglarge.com. That's at liftinglarge, DOTCOM. And last but not least, this podcast is also brought to you by our good friends at Spud Inc. and the Cold War Puller. From Russia with Love, the Spud Inc. team has brought you a new way to do an old exercise using our Ukrainian deadlift rig. Ukrainian deadlifts are a great way to build your deadlift and squat at the same time. The Spud Inc. Ukrainian deadlift rig is designed to be home gym friendly with an extra long loading strap with an attachment point at 12 inches and at 20 inches so you can stack weights to the ceiling if you want to pull from a super low position with the short attachment point. The Ukrainian deadlift rig comes with a 20-inch straight bar handle with a rotating center attachment point to make it more versatile and difficult. You can stand on plyo boxes, bumpers, or blocks to do this primal movement. Check out the Spud Inc. Ukrainian deadlift rig or Cold War puller at spud-inc-straps.com.
Great.
Wahoo.
Now to our guest. Hopefully. It's always a caveat.
Are we ringing?
Just a boot.
Hello.
Mr. Rippetoe.
Are we ready?
You bet. You're live on the Massenomics podcast with Tanner and Tommy. We're excited to have you on here today.
Well, I'm so damned excited to be here. I just can hardly contain myself.
We can hear it in your voice. It's palpable. You can feel it through the phone.
Just excitement,
That's right.
Just you know. So, what's going on?
We've been, ever since we were guests on your show, Starting Strength Radio, we've been excited to get the opportunity to have you rip on our show, and we got that lined up here. So we've got a few things we want to ask you about, and to go along with most of what we do. None of it is overly serious, of course, but important topics nonetheless. We want to play our overrated, underrated game with you again. You did so good last time. We had to come up with another series of topics for you. And but first of all, in honor of having you on here and in honor of what you do on Starting Strength Radio, you have this segment you kick off a lot of your episodes with called Comments from the Haters. And we love that. We love that part of your show. It doesn't really get much better than that sometimes. And we wondered if you would be willing to maybe partake in some comments from the haters on our show.
Sure.
But the biggest thing I'm wondering, you kind of have a way of changing your voice when you do the comments from the haters segment. I'm wondering if you maybe have the ability to also do that on our show as well.
Well, I don't. God, you put me on the spot here. Rusty helps me with that, and I don't have him. He knows how to. He knows exactly what to say to me to get that reverb effect.
Well, I think if I bet I'm just a hunch here. I bet you can even do it without Rusty today. If you just have to trust us, I believe it's going to work here today as well.
All right. Well, let me give it a try again. Let me think about what he tells me here. and I'll all right, I think I've got it. All right. Are you ready?
We're ready.
The Massenomics version of comments from the haters.
Wow.
But,
I felt that. I felt that. That was good.
We could feel
That worked pretty good.
that reverb all the way up from Texas here to northeast South Dakota. We could feel the reverb
That
from here.
covered
on that
the
one.
country
Good.
right there.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So then I guess what we should do is let me read you the ones I've got that Rusty handed to me. Some clown by the name of Fabian Brown says, okay, these guys look like stoners. You guys don't look like stoners. These guys not ever. Has this guy not ever seen a stoner?
No, I don't think. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I can see why Rip likes these guys. The yellow T-shirt guy has a massive belly, and the stoner guy is a little pink. So, I don't remember either one of you guys having a massive belly. What qualifies as a massive belly on the internet?
Well, it's a good question because we've actually dissected these comments. You know, so these, for people that don't know, these are genuine YouTube comments from the haters of the episode we did with you, Rip, on starting strength. And what do you say these are? What these guys are? What the bottom feeders, bottom 1%?
Oh, they're like the bottom half of 1%.
Yeah.
You know, these are basically all of these guys are in prison.
Right.
And, you know, they get some time, you know, in the library or wherever if they let them read their email in prison or something like that. These guys sneak onto the computer and type comments to YouTube videos, and that's where all those comments to YouTube videos come from.
I think that's right.
Know, people of normal intelligence don't occupy themselves in this way.
I 100% agree.
I'm in southern North Dakota, and I ain't never heard about these guys. I'm in southern North Dakota, and I never heard about these guys. This guy's he's a fucking Canadian. You're in
any part of North Dakota.
North Dakota's it's a Canadian province.
I thought I saw some in the news about that.
Yeah, they sucked them up. Yeah,
it's not. It ought to be. All right. These two guys basically look exactly how I would imagine two guys from South Dakota look.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah,
that one's at least kind of creative, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. So you had $14 for a logo on a pair of mesh shorts. Nah, I'm good with the plain ones.
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the $14.
That's the stuff we make. You know, it's not for everyone. It is for people that can come up with the scratch for that $14.
That have $14 more dollars than
I think
the bottom.
It's a sorting mechanism. You know, you don't want these. You know, the bottom half of 1% wearing your shit anyway.
It's a bad look for us.
Yeah,
just you know, it sends the wrong message.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Okay, Rip. One a little bit, probably the most serious thing we had to ask you about is strength lifting is basically a sport that you came up with. I believe at the time you worked along with CrossFit a little bit, and there's some really cool ideas that you've implemented with that. We have a lot of our listeners are interested in powerlifting. You know, a lot of people competing powerlifting that listen to this show. And there's some things that you switched around. You know, one of the most obvious things is it includes the press and not the bench. And that's one thing.
Right.
But as far as things that could even have the ability to pretty easily be applied to the sport of powerlifting that just have a lot of common sense behind them. One of the ideas that you implement is a way out rather than a way in. And that just makes a lot of sense. Like, it's something I maybe hadn't really thought about, but it just if you just think about that as a concept, it's like, wow, that makes sense to me. Could you explain that? I mean, it's not super complicated, but it maybe is a little bit novel to some people, I guess.
Well, the problem with the way in, especially if you have something utterly retarded like a 24-hour way in,
right,
is I mean, it's almost as though the meat director is trying to allow the rules of the meat to be circumvented on purpose. Right? I mean, the weight class, the 198-pound weight class, because I'm not going to keep up with these changing fucking weight classes. I'm just not going to do it. The 90-kilo weight class is the idea of a weight class is that people that weigh 198 pounds don't have to compete against somebody that weighs 242. Well, because, and why would this be? Well, because bigger guys lift heavier weights than smaller guys. So that's the logic. So you get to compete in the same division as people who are roughly your level of strength, and a 132-pound 5'2" guy doesn't have to try to deadlift alongside Andy Bolton, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, that's the general idea, and it's not complicated to understand this. And if you allow somebody that knows how to do it to weigh in and make weight at 198 24 hours before he has to lift on the platform, he'll weigh 220.
Yep.
And that's how a lot of world records are happening right now.
Yep.
Yes, of course it is. And that's not a world record. It's not anything resembling a world record. Hell, back a long time ago, if you set a world record at the Worlds, at the IPF Worlds, they weighed you. They took you off to the scale and weighed you and verified that you were in the weight class. In addition to weighing the set.
Yeah, the actual plates and bar. Yep.
The actual plates and bar were weighed, so we knew what was on them. And it was, that's if you want to, you can't have a world record set in a weight class where the guy wasn't in the weight class. How hard is it to understand? He's not in the weight class.
Yeah.
Why don't you let the guy that weighed in at 275 set a record in the 198?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is absurd. It's not even worth discussing. It's so absurd. So what we decided was that we were going to just do away with all the drama that happens in front of the meet on Saturday morning, and we're going to, when you show up to the meet, you register an hour before. You get all your ice chests and your folding chairs and shit set up where you want them to be, and then we have the rules clinic. And then we have the meet, and then whatever you weighed right after your last deadlift is the weight class that you competed in. And if you're terribly concerned about it, well, then you make sure that you're in the weight class. And that's your responsibility. But if you weighed in into what you competed in the 198, then you weighed 198. Not 220. So, I don't know how it could be any more straightforward and logical than that.
It does make sense. It almost seems too simple.
That's the only thing wrong with it, really.
Yeah, that's his downfall. It makes too much sense. Well,
it makes too damn much sense.
Yeah, the goal of the powerlifting meet, the strength lifting meet, weightlifting meet is to see how strong you can be, how much you can lift, and the 24-hour weigh-ins, it turns it partially into who's the best at manipulating their body weight the most over a short period of time. That's part of the competition.
Who's the best at getting it down to a certain amount in a 24-hour window, and then getting all of it right back.
Right.
Yeah. It introduces a whole nother element into the competition that's got nothing to do with the ostensible purpose of the meet.
Right.
And if you want to play silly ass games with a scale like that, well, that's fine. I mean, I don't care that I don't advocate the violent overthrow of federations that are playing silly ass games like that. But by the same token, we all know it's stupid.
Right.
And we just put up with it.
Right. Yep. The other big thing that comes to mind that just as I think about it, the more I'm like, I just get it, is could you talk about the concept of taking the judges out of the lifts?
Oh, and that's also just blindingly obvious. Now, isn't it? I mean, really, does the judge tell you when to come up out of the bottom of the squat?
No, never does.
Well, why should the judge tell you when to come up out of the bottom of the bench press?
It's a fair
question. How does that
question.
make the slightest bit of sense? I mean, it's inconsistent and illogical, and yet everybody just goes, well, it's just the way we do it.
Yeah.
it's the way it's just always been done. So, it must be okay. Well, no, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Why? All right, we got a set of technical rules, don't we?
Yep.
It's the lifter's responsibility to know the technical rules. And it's the lifter's responsibility, therefore, to perform the lift according to the technical rules. Now, why should the judge be permitted to participate in this process? The judge should just decide whether or not that happened. Judge. Why should the judge tell you when to rack the bar? When the rules tell you when to rack the bar. Why should the judge tell you when to press the bar up off your chest? When the rules do that. Why should the judge tell you when to set the deadlift down? Well, it makes no sense. And so we just have moved a few things like that around. And as a result, I think the sport is a lot simpler and cleaner and easier to understand.
And when you say it that way, like, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, are there any sports where the judges or the ref or the official interacts with you while you're like dictates what you do while you're playing? Like, refs will blow the whistle or call it or do something after the action has been done, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head where the judge actually dictates what happens while you're performing.
I can't either. I mean,
I'm sure there's something, but
does the gymnastics judge? Do the judges tell you when to perform the movements on the mat?
Right.
If you're a diver, does the judge tell you when to leave the platform?
Right.
What are these guys thinking about?
Yeah.
I don't even understand how this got started. I really don't, because it makes absolutely no sense.
No, and even if the judge has the best of intentions, there's a human error element that on, say, the bench press, for example, with the pause, whether you like the pause or not, under the assumption that that's the rule, you need to pause. There is a human error element of how fast or not fast they're going to call that.
Well, and then from meet to meet, there's consistency.
It introduces a variable that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I have seen, I've told this story 1,000 times. I've seen a head judge at a big meet give the press signal for a big famous lifter, give the press signal before the bar touched the chest.
Right.
Because he was scared of the guy.
Right.
Now, in a situation like that, what do the side judges do? Do they judge the lift according to the rules?
Which
or do they
judge the
lift according to the signal? Why would you want to put the side judges in a position like that?
Right.
So there's no aspect of that makes any fucking sense. So I think our solution is rather elegant.
Yeah.
It's once again simple.
Yeah.
It has the disadvantage of being logical and understandable. So,
yeah. And so strength lifting meets, are those held nationwide at this point? I know you would commonly hold them out of, go ahead.
The gyms just hold them right now.
Okay.
The gyms just hold them right now. The little federation that arose a while back is kind of, stuttered, and that's not, these things are at this point are just informal.
Yeah.
And at some point, we'll probably establish some kind of a formal federation and establish some kind of formal records and stuff. But right now, this is just kind of a thing we're doing for fun.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. It when you look at it at training,
I don't think it is.
It gives someone, if they're choosing to compete in one of those, it gives them something to train for. And I mean, anyone that's trained for anything knows when you've got, even if it's for fun, you're still out there to do the best you can, and that affects your training positively almost in every case.
It makes you focus and train harder.
Yeah.
Just got through with a podcast about that very thing. last week. Talked about why you should do a meet.
Yeah.
And we've always encouraged people to go to a meet since the first edition of the book was released back in 2005. I've always encouraged people to go to a meet primarily for that very reason. It improves your training. The minute you send in an entry fee, you are you view the next workout gets viewed differently, and it's terribly important. It's a great tool for improving your training.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You mentioned the book there, the little blue book, as you might call it, or I've read it a couple times. We have a couple copies of it sitting around at our gym all the time. What I'm wondering is, and I don't know the answer to this, is you've authored a few books, you have a podcast now, you have YouTube, coaching, all the Starting Strength coaches. Where did Starting Strength originally start? That name, even Starting Strength, was the book, the blue book, the origins of Starting Strength?
No, the blue book's the third edition.
Okay.
The first edition was originally titled Starting Strength, A Simple and Practical Guide to Coaching Beginners, because we were under the misapprehension that coaches, and when I thought about coaches at the time, I was thinking about, football coaches and people in charge of teams were in desperate need of a resource for utilizing barbell training for their athletes. What I failed to appreciate at the time is that coaches at the high school level and the college level and the professional level are almost entirely incapable of understanding that they need to know that. And so the second edition was basically a rewrite, and we called it Starting Strength Basic Barbell Training.
Okay.
That was the second edition, and I rewrote the thing and wrote it for changed the language around so that I was speaking to the lifter. And there were some revisions along the way for that book. And that one actually, because the first book began to be bought by lifters because they realized the value of the instruction, and they lifters started buying it. So I rewrote it for the lifter. And then I learned a whole bunch of stuff during the period of time I spent arguing with CrossFit about this shit. Mm-hmm. And then we released the blue book in 2011. And it's been continuously updated for the past 9 years, so that in reality, the current version of the blue book is quite a bit different than the first version of the blue book. Every time we learned something, we accumulated this information and included it in the next printing.
So looking through you said the first one was 2005?
Yes.
So over the course of 15 years, have you had anything like that you would consider major foundational things that you've had to change course on or change your approach or your thought process behind?
No, not really. The details are very, very important, but Starting Strength is basically two things. Starting Strength is the squat, the press, the deadlift, the bench press, and the power clean.
Yep.
And their correct execution and incorporation of those primary exercises as the essentially the entirety of the program, because nothing else is necessary. It was now we have learned a whole bunch about how to teach those and how to perform it. And that's what most of the revision has been. And then the second part of starting strength is the simple approach to the programming. Add 5 pounds to the squat for your 3 sets of 5 next time. And do that until that stops working. Don't do anything else. Don't change the exercises. Don't change the form. Add to the load. The load is the variable. And it goes up, and increasing load forces the adaptation. And that's just the basics of the program. And it's so ridiculously obvious that I'm shocked that somebody a lot smarter than I am didn't come up with it first, but for some reason they didn't. And so that is that's the nature of the program. Yeah, and the details of the execution have been continually updated and changed.
Right. So starting strength, between the books, your podcast, everything you're doing, and then, through the forums online and that sort of thing, it's developed this insanely loyal fan base, or it's almost in some way, in some ways you could say it's almost like a cult-like following, where it's just such a strong following. I wonder, when you started it, did you picture it would get to the level it's at now, or
No,
did you really even plan on this?
No, and I don't perceive that that's the case. I don't know that we have that strong a following. I'm not aware of it if we do. I mean, we sell a lot of books, and we have seminars that occasionally sell out, but I see no, their crowds don't follow me around.
Right. Well, that's interesting to hear that perspective from you.
I can still go out in public most places and not be recognized. So I don't know that we have an insanely loyal fan base. I think that those people on the periphery may perceive that we do, for simply because our approach to the problem has never been refuted, and that pisses people off. Because there are people that say, well, there are as many ways to squat as there are sands on the beach. As there are stars in the sky. This is just obvious bullshit. That's, and you don't get to say stuff that's that stupid. And it's our approach to it is logical, and it has been we've looked at this harder than they have. And when things are wrong with it, we change it. And so it's been winnowed over the years. And it has been we've constantly improved the whole thing to the point where there's just not a hell of a lot wrong with it. It works every single time it is tried correctly. And that pisses everybody off. Because nothing else really does. I mean, when was the last time anybody contacted one of the NSCA's precious little certified strength conditioning specialists for training? Our people get called and offered money to please show us how to do this every week. And they don't essentially exist outside the context of a ticket that you have to punch to graduate with a PE degree. That's the only reason those people are there. Mm-hmm. And we're here because we actually make a difference, and we make people strong. And that pisses everybody else off. I'm not saying we're the only people who know how to make people strong, but our program works every single time that it's tried, with everybody it's correctly applied to. And, if you can figure out a mathematically more efficient way of making your squat stronger than 5 pounds of workout, 15 pounds a week for 4 months, I'd like to know what it is.
Right. Okay. Yep. What I wanted to ask you about next, Rip, is Words that end with the spelling IVE. There's this internet thing, I'm sure you're fully aware of it, where say someone is speaking in the rip, and they spell the words AHVE. So we're talking drive and five are the common ones you see all the time. What what's your take on that? Is that how you're saying those words? Where the hell does that even come from?
I think it must come from California. I mean, when I say the word five, I say five. Now, that doesn't sound like fall. I'm not saying fall. I'm saying five. Five. But in California, they say five. How old are you, son? I'm five. I don't know. It's just something fun for them to do. I have to let them. As long as they buy the book, I don't care.
Yeah, you get the last laugh.
They just go ahead and buy the book. Tell everybody I talk, or however you want me to talk. They also make fun of me for pronouncing why, like why. Like the letter Y. They want you to say the letter Y. Why? Why is that? What is that? Like W-U-T. Oh, why do they spell it W-H-A-T? If they wanted you to pronounce it W-U-T. I don't know. And I don't really give a shit. You go up to New York, and you get people making fun of us for the way we talk down here. Well, guess what? Our property is still worth something. And there's just
there you go.
And there's just not.
Yep.
It's an amazing deal. But anyway.
Okay. Okay, Tommy, what do you think about jumping into overrated, underrated?
I think it's about that time.
Rip, I think you probably remember how to play the game. We got a series of topics that we picked for you, and the idea here is that you can't ride the line. It's got to be.
You got to say overrated or underrated.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember doing that with you.
Okay. And you've got your druthers, how much you choose to elaborate or not elaborate on why that is the way it is.
Okay.
All right. Topic number one here, Rip. Overrated or underrated? Whole milk. Last time we visited about skim milk. Today we're going to ask you about whole milk.
Underrated. Highly underrated. It tastes good, so you'll actually drink it.
Yeah, I agree. I love a good.
That's a simple enough argument right there.
I love whole milk, so no argument with me on that.
Yeah.
All right. Topic number two: overrated or underrated? Knee wraps. Knee wraps for the squat.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think they are probably underrated because they are useful for lots and lots of people with creaky knees. And if you can squat with a properly applied wrap, that's better than not squatting because your knees hurt.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Okay. Topic number three: overrated or underrated? Ribeye steaks, specific to the ribeye cut.
Highly overrated. Highly overrated. Sirloin tastes better. And I know this because I've been buying side beef for 15 years. I haven't bought grocery store beef in a long, long time. And so I have the opportunity to eat the ribeye and the loin steaks and the sirloin steaks off of the same side of the same animal. So I can compare the flavor of the meat from different parts of the same animal. I'm not comparing different animals. I'm actually comparing the meat from the same animal. I'm telling you, the sirloin's got a better flavor. Mm-hmm. And ribeyes have got this reputation among, people that don't know anything about beef. They're all right. You don't throw them away.
Right.
You don't grind them up into hamburger, but I'm telling you that they're highly overrated.
is the sirloin the best cut then?
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If you had to, so when was the last time you said you had grocery store beef?
Oh, it's been years ago.
So if you had to go grocery store, do you think you would still say sirloin's the best?
Depends on the grade. Then I'm able to.
Yeah.
If I can buy a choice sirloin, I'd rather have that than choice ribeye.
Okay.
Yeah. This isn't a topic, but I also just wonder where you feel about pig or where ham weighs into you as a meat in comparison to some good old beef.
Ham's
Pork.
got its place. Yeah. Ham makes a better sandwich.
That's true. Yeah, that's
everybody
true.
knows that, don't they?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, ham makes a hell of a sandwich. Ham and Swiss, hard to beat that. You know.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, last one here. You're a Texas man, obviously. We all know that. Overrated or underrated cowboy boots?
Oh, I think they are overrated. I haven't worn pull-on boots in a long time. I wear cowboy Packers specifically, and they look like cowboy boots, but they're lace up. And they fit better and they support your ankle better. And specifically, I wear whites.
Okay.
And I haven't had any pull-on cowboy boots in a long time. I need a pair of ropers. Right now, I just haven't bought them. But for daily wear, I wear lace-ups. And there's lots of good boot companies. Justin makes a very good boot. Olathe makes a good boot. There's lots and lots of different companies that make pretty good boots, but just that in terms of the style of boot, I prefer a lace up.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes our fashion tips with Rip this week.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Everybody pays so much attention to that. So
yeah.
Do you know how many fashion trends I've started? Oh my God.
That's true. That does wrap up our overrated, underrated. It made me think though, as we were talking there, one other thing that I see pop up all the time is about you leaning on things. Are you familiar with it? What I like to know is if you're familiar with these internet things.
I do tend to do that. And I've done that for years. And the reason I do that, I'll tell you right now, the reason I do that is because my fucking back hurts all the time. And if I can get some of the load off of it by leaning on something, I just that's what I find myself doing,
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be pain-free.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, to the extent you can get that way.
Yeah. All right, Rip. That kind of covers the majority of what we wanted to talk about.
It was good.
I would what is your website? Is it startingstrength.com? Is that where people would go? So that
startingstrength.com.
Okay.
I got a question for you guys. How are the property values doing in Aberdeen right now?
Good.
I think stable as ever.
Yeah, they're good. They're
I'll bet they're up quite a bit.
Yeah, they're up. And interest rates are extremely low right now, so I think there's kind of things moving a little bit, but
I think you guys are seeing some growth, whether you want to or not.
That is the comment that I've heard several people make, is that I don't know if I can personally tell that yet, if I can just personally see it just from our little corner of the world, but everyone seems to make that comment that we're probably going to experience that at some point in time. I would say probably places like Wyoming would be in that same bucket.
Idaho's growing.
Yeah, Idaho. Yeah.
But your wonderful governor has made a good impression on lots and lots of people. And I would look for an influx of escapees from Democrat shitholes. And my advice to you guys is to tell them once they get there, look, you just left a Democrat shithole. Don't vote Democrat here. You'll have to remind them of that. That's why you left. Okay? Don't do that to us or we'll kill you.
And that's the final straw.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much somebody can say back to that. There's no arguing there.
Don't do it. Don't do it to us. We'll kill you. Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, we can't not listen to your advice if you're giving out free advice.
Once again, very simple.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what Starting Strength Radio new episode you come out with that on Fridays,
Every
right?
Friday.
Every Friday.
Every Friday till we get all wore out. We're gonna
Yeah.
do whatever. We've got one up every Friday. So when are you gonna air this?
This will come out this upcoming Monday here, so not too long. It's just less than a week away.
Friday after that, we've got Mike Israel on.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I will be excited to hear that.
He and I had a wonderful conversation just 3 or 4 days ago, and that'll be up a week from Friday.
Okay, that would be a good one. I really am excited to hear that one. Then, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it will be. And I just got through listening to it again, and it's a pretty good show. We had a nice conversation. He's a real sharp guy.
I'm excited to hear the comments from the haters of what people have to say about that episode, though. That's always
that'll be the most fascinating thing of all.
Yeah, of course. Well, you must train pretty late at night, Rip. You mentioned that you've got training to do yet today here. So
yeah, I've got to do a little workout, and I typically when everybody leaves and then I train. And, I putter around in here and clean things up and work on editing things and in between sets and that sort of thing. So I go home late. I've always kept late hours. So.
Okay. All right. Rip, we appreciate you having you on here. What we would tell everyone is check out startingstrength.com, then check out Starting Strength Radio, new episode every Friday. Books are on the store. You also have some shirts on there. I know what does some of the shirts say? Like help us eliminate.
Join the fight against muscular atrophy.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one I like. Yes, that's the one that popped out to me. Yes,
collection of posters.
Yeah, we've got all the posters. I don't know if those are still for sale on the website or not, but I really like.
Yeah, they're for sale.
Yeah, we've got
a whole series.
Yep.
Series of posters we just designed recently that are on the website. We've got some caps. We've got all kinds of stuff. Just go to the startingstrength.com store and look and see what all the stuff we got.
All right. That's what everyone needs to do. Yep. And tell Rusty, Nick, Bree, everyone there, make sure they're all staying in line too. We appreciate everything they do there too.
I'll tell them you said to obey every word I say completely.
That's right. That's right. All right. Thanks, Rip.
Thanks a lot, Rip.
All right, guys. Enjoyed it.
Yep. We'll see ya.
See ya.
Later.
Mr. Rip.
The one and only.
I had to laugh because when you said the leaning on things one, in my head, I picture him leaning on things. I don't read the comments close enough to know that was like a thing of people actually commenting on it.
I might be wrong on this, but I think there might be an Instagram page called Rip Leans on Things. And it's various pictures of him leaning on things.
That's kind of how I picture him in my head.
Yeah. He's kind of like, if you look at a lot of the pictures that exist,
there's nothing wrong with, but it's really funny because I didn't realize that was a thing.
No, that's a thing that Rip. I think I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a page Rip Leans.
Well, if there's not, there should be now.
Yeah. But it's certainly a thing, whether there's a page or not. Like people are well aware that he leans on a lot of things.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's Rip, and that's Cool Beans.
That's very Cool Beans.
Yeah. I really enjoyed him reading the comments from the haters, the negative things that people had to say about us.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice when you can hear things negative and you're like, that's a few years ago in this journey that would have that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's kind of a sign of we're probably doing all right when we can hear a few negative things and know, well, there's quite a few people that like it, so it's okay if you don't. Not everyone has to like it.
That's like number 99 on my list of things that happened to me that actually concern me anyway.
Right, and it's reassuring. I know based on everything else we do, there's enough people out there that enjoy this thing that we're doing that If you don't, that's okay. Like, that doesn't offend me. That's like, well, that's okay. Not everyone's going to like it. Like, not everyone's going to enjoy this.
Shouldn't like
this.
No,
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I was glad, like, that's a bucket list one we had Rip on the show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've been really banging out the people here lately.
That's true. And we're talking with a lot of other people. We got really cool ones coming too. I don't see this stopping anytime soon where there's a
lot on deck.
Yeah. I made that little Mount Rushmore of,
Yep.
And I kind of, truth be told, I did that knowing we just had Chad on the show and then knowing we're going to have Rip coming up soon. I kind of working in people that we're going to work with. I don't picture us being able to get Louis or Louis being able to understand what we're doing here, you know?
Yeah, but you'd have a hard time making an argument that those were bad choices, though.
No, I agree. I think they're certainly in the running. A good one that people brought up, though, is Mike Teixeira.
Yep.
He follows Massenomics and he gets our silly stuff.
Yes.
So I did add him to our list. So we do need to have Mike T kind of,
very exclusive list.
Yeah, he's kind of the credited for the RPE system. So we'd almost have to just come up with a series of what RPE do you rate this and not have it be a lifting thing. It's like trying to tie your shoes, bending over, trying to tie your shoes when you're overweight and your belt's on 2 sizes too small. What RPE is that on the scale?
Yep.
And like the series of,
I think most people would say 9 or 10 for lots of those.
Right. Yeah. It's probably just, actually, I guess maybe that doesn't work. It's just, I'm just thinking of all 10s. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything I keep thinking of in my head is a 10 too.
Right. Do we need to talk about our ads here again?
We probably should.
Okay. Today's show was brought to you by Texas Power Bars. And it's worth noting that Starting Strength works with Buddy Caps on bars that they sell.
Don't they have a Starting Strength bar?
Yeah,
right?
they do. That's manufactured by Texas Power Bars or by Buddy Caps or by
the
that
demanding specs of Rip.
of Starting Strength. So by supporting Starting Strength through those bars, you would be supporting Texas Power Bars. And Rip also believes in the Texas Power Bars too, so he would fully endorse this company here. But in 1980, Buddy Cap set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he had ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best in Arlene. It was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. Visit TexasPowerBars.com. The next one, Lifting Large, is our next sponsor, and how I'd relate that, Rip said knee wraps underrated. Lifting Large does have a selection of knee wraps you can purchase, and I saw a post today at a pretty reasonable price. So knee wraps underrated. Where can you get them? Lifting Large. Lifting Large has set a new standard for customer service within the strength world. They have live website chat support and speedy email responses. Lifting Large is home to the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper. They are always in stock and ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products by using discount code MASS20 at checkout. Spud Inc. Rip didn't talk about Spud Inc. He should have, maybe.
He didn't, but I think he meant to.
He meant to talk about it.
We just ran out of time.
The goal of Spud Inc. straps is to make products that support sports performance and help everyone achieve their training goals. They make products that last forever, won't bust your budget, and most importantly, leave no doubt about success when everything is on the line. Check them out online at spud-inc-straps.com. This episode is also brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. They're your one-stop shop for all things fitness and online coaching. Whether your goals are training-related, nutrition, body composition-related, or both. Starting Strength... better start over. Thinking about too many things at once here. Hybrid Performance Method. Important distinction there today, isn't it? Yeah. Hybrid Performance Method would be the ones for you because they have dedicated and experienced coaches in each strength and fitness discipline, and you can rest assured that you're in the best hands possible. We have a discount code with them on their personal coaching and training for nutrition and actual training programs. It's MASS, that's MASS. That'll save you 5% off any of those programs for the life of those programs. And you can visit them at hybridperformancemethod.com. That's it for sponsors. We didn't really talk about leaving podcast reviews.
We didn't.
You should leave podcast reviews. We don't want to get
into playoff season too early.
That's true, but you should leave podcast reviews.
And in case people are wondering, the Massenomics billboard is still up.
We're
really getting our money's worth out of that thing.
We have really gotten a great money's worth.
I was thinking it almost
is it. Wait, What day did you see it last?
Today.
Oh, you saw it today?
Yeah.
Well, that means we've got another month of it then.
Really?
Yeah, that goes by month from the way I understand it. Yeah.
Even you get a day in, they don't.
No, big. I mean, ours went up on the
I was kind of
first
thinking.
of the month.
I was kind of thinking it would be funny if the Massenomics billboard got replaced by another Massenomics billboard. That was like, you thought that last billboard was obnoxious.
We're going to be looking at 4 straight months of that billboard being up now because I'm pretty sure it goes by monthly.
And we didn't pay for 4 months.
No. We're getting a hell of a deal.
Pro tip for people advertising in these times: not a lot of people want to pay the money for it. So
I'm going to be really sad when it goes away. I would love to take a video of them like taking it down and putting it to like closing time.
Closing. Yeah.
Something like that.
That would be doing it justice. That's what should happen.
Yeah, like put it to it's fine. Put it to rest.
Like interview the people that did it. I'm sure they'll come down with tears in their eyes and this is the hardest billboard to ever take down.
Have you gotten very many questions from people that you just kind of know you are associated with math?
I think
I've gotten that many locally.
I think I would if I could go out locally.
Right.
I mean, normally I would be going to restaurants and bars and places and seeing people, but I don't see people anymore.
Yeah.
So unless I ran into you in a grocery store, it's not going to click.
I still get almost weekly to this point someone that's comes to town or in town or just happens to drive that road and goes, had to see it for myself. It really is real. You know, like that's the thing. It's like, Mom, it is real. I believe you know.
I still think so few people outside of my direct circle even have any idea what Massenomics even is.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just such a foreign concept.
I think there's probably a lot of people listening here that still aren't 100% sure exactly what Massenomics is. So
I think you have a very valid point.
Still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But also the podcast supporting membership would be the other thing. You can sign up for that. Got all the different tiers, the apple pie, the LaCroix, the lift shorts level,
the platinum club.
The platinum club level. We just had the man that won, Big Matt, that won the world's most medium-sized check is actually paying some of that love back by becoming a supporting member. So we are going to get all of that back from him.
He didn't realize that he's signing for life. So eventually we will get all of that 500
and
back.
More.
Yeah, we put a request in with the credit card company. They're not going to ever let him cancel.
No, even if he terminates, we'll do illegal things to make sure we keep getting that
we
charge.
have things going on behind the scenes. So his money is ours now. We're like the creditors coming back.
The whole plan.
We played the long con, the long game on this one.
It is the long con.
Money will be ours.
Yeah. Okay. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, that sort of thing. Tommy, where to go on Instagram?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
And you can find me at Tanner_Baird. More importantly, follow us on Massenomics at Massenomics on Instagram.
See ya.
Later.